Welcome, geometry students. This handout today, we're going to go over, we're going to fill it out all the way together, is a review of some things that have to do with coordinate geometry and parallel and perpendicular lines with their slope. So hopefully you could print out this handout. If you can't, then you are writing on binder paper these notes. So the topic today is that of coordinate geometry. So coordinate geometry. And in particular, we're dealing with parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay? And this is our first period geometry class. Okay. So first of all, let's review by writing down some definitions, and that is parallel lines. They have the same slope. The symbol that we use is that of parallel in this way. So when we use that symbol, that's like what I did up here. So that's the symbol, this is parallel, so we don't have to write out parallel all the time. Perpendicular lines have, now sometimes you hear the word negative, but I prefer you to write the word opposite, reciprocal slopes. And the symbol is perpendicular. So what do we mean by opposite reciprocal? And that's what we're going to do here. And what we mean by opposite is you're going to change the sign. So if it was positive, you change it to negative. If it was negative, you change it to positive. When we write negative here, everyone thinks, oh, all perpendicular lines have negative slopes. No, no, no. It's the two different lines, they have opposite slopes. And besides that, it says reciprocal, so you want to flip the fraction. And all numbers can be seen as fractions, which we will see in just a moment here. So if my slope was 3/4, then my perpendicular slope would be the opposite. This is positive, so it would be negative. Instead of 3/4, it would be 4/3. For this one here, it's positive 2, so it's going to be negative. And you say, well, it's not a fraction. Well, 2 is a fraction. It's 2/1, so it's going to be 1/2. This is a negative slope, so its reciprocal is going to be positive. We don't need to write the positive, just the absence of means positive. So it's going to be positive, and then we're going to flip it 8/7. 1 happens to be 1/1, so, and this is positive, it's going to be negative, and then we flip it 1/1, which is just 1. And 0, well, this is undefined. And the reason is a zero slope is a horizontal line. That's what a zero slope is. Perpendicular to that would be a vertical line, straight up and down. And a vertical line has an undefined slope. You can't divide by 0. So let's do a couple of examples here. And in these examples, we're going to have two different lines that we're trying to find the slope of and to determine if they are opposite slopes, if they are the same slopes, or if they are opposite reciprocals, or if they're the same slopes, or if they're neither one of those two things. So the first one I'm going to do is this is AB. So I'm going to do AB's in green. So I want to find for the line AB. So I want you to make sure we're doing our notation properly. That says line AB, and I'm going to find the slope for that. To find the slope means we were to take y sub 2 and minus y sub 1. We subtract our y's, and we're going to divide that by our x's, x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And this is slope. So I'm going to start with 6 and subtract 3. 6 minus 3. And then I'm going to do 2 minus negative 2. So I write 2 minus negative 2. When we subtract a negative, it becomes positive. 6 minus 3 is 3. 2/2, actually 2 plus 2 is 4. So the slope of the line AB right here is 3/4. And now we're going to find the slope of line CD, which I'm going to be doing in red. So the line CD has the slope which is going to be, I'm going to subtract my y's, 3 minus 0. Subtract my x's, 3 minus negative 1, 3 minus negative 1, and that's going to give me 3 over 4. And since they are the same slopes, that means that they are parallel lines. So I'm going to use the symbol for parallel. The next problem for AB, that line has the slope equal to 4 minus 2 over 5 minus 0. 4 minus 2 happens to be 2. 5 minus 0 is just 5, so we have the slope of 2/5. We're going to find the slope of CD. Slope of CD has, and the slope of CD is 3 minus 8 over 3 minus 1, which is that that's going to be 3 minus 8 is negative 5, and 3 minus 1 is 2. We have negative 5 halves. Well, they are opposites. One's positive and one's negative, and they're reciprocals of each other, which means they are perpendicular lines. In problem number 3, we have line AB that has a slope, looking at line, 6 minus 8 over 2 minus negative 1, 2 minus negative 1 turns it into plus. So we've got 6 minus 8 is negative 2 over 2 plus 1 is 3. We've got negative 2/3. For CD, line CD has the slope equal to 3 minus 2 over 3 minus negative 1, 3 minus negative 1. 3 minus 2 is 1 over 3 plus 1 is 4. We have 1/4. And so they're not equal, and they're also not opposite reciprocals. So these are neither. So they can be either parallel, perpendicular, or they can be neither. I'm going to leave the last one here for you to do, and then you can check your work later. I'll have the answers posted on the website, and you can check that out. Okay. So this was just a quick review of parallel and perpendicular slopes.